Hey, what's up, guys? So, I wanted to talk about whatever happened to karate combat. As an outsider, I say an outsider because I'm not really into spectator sports outside of used to following the UFC. I feel like I'm in the majority of people where McGregor peak time when people even outside of MMA really were tuning in just because of the spectacle of it. After that, it was kind of died down when he kind of went into retirement or went into the boxing and stuff like that. And then slowly, and I'll kind of give you my perspective as an outsider into karate combat. There were like whisperings of this new league just for karate guys. And as a karate guy myself, that was super cool. It was intriguing. There were like discussions about it. People were tuning in. It was a very localized looking event, small venues, but there was still like an aura of like respect, especially if you think about Cobra Kai, Karate Kid was coming back. So people had more of a respect for the karate style in the sense like it's not just meatheads duking it out in the ring as the general public's perception of MMA is. And then I saw people talking about, I think Bas Rutten was on Joe Rogan, and he was talking about rule set for karate combat. So again, I was like, cool, karate's back in the zeitgeist, back in the regular general population discussion. People were talking about it. The rule set was kind of weird. I don't think there were elbows or leg kicks and stuff like that. I think Joe mentioned that as a critique, but still, it was a way for karate guys to watch a spectator sport, possibly have a channel for people to compete in that were not shooting for the Olympics. Because Olympic sparring is very different than actual combat sparring or combat sport. There's another venue for people that aren't into the kata competitions either. And then I kind of checked out of it for a couple years. And then when I looked at it again, it became like a weird cryptocurrency. There are now JiuJitsu matches within a karate combat ring. And then scrolling randomly on Instagram and social media, like you see the face-offs now, the whole spectacle of it, of like disrespect, fighters trying to push each other at the face-off. It just looked like it rapidly turned into another thing that the general population can point to and say, hey, this is why you should not learn how to fight. And that's, to me, that's unfortunate because it had the potential. I think they were bringing in Lyoto Machida. They had GSP, which is known as a very respectable martial artist. He was a great MMA fighter, but he always respected his opponent. He was truthful about like being fearful in the fight. He wasn't super arrogant. He lost and came back and won and became champion. So there are all these good, positive vibes to karate combat, and I understand as someone who's actually in marketing, I understand the rationale, right? You're trying to get something that will get money to a lot of investors, get more eyes on it, add revenues, sponsorships. How are you going to prove out this concept of karate tournaments and push it to the larger general public? And what's unfortunate is the formula in today's society is to make it as disrespectful as possible. Try to get a viral clip from a face off so that that clip starts trending and then people look up what is karate combat and stuff like that. So I understand what they're trying to do. That doesn't change the fact that it's kind of disappointing to see, only because I came up in a respectful traditional martial arts background, and I really thought that this might have been a venue or an avenue for other karate people to, have a career in beyond just the Olympics or beyond just teaching, right? I was even curious like what it would take for no names like myself to compete in that. This was also years ago, right? I think I had a buddy in LA that actually went to a couple of the first ones. Again, small venue, very easy to get tickets to and stuff like that. And I was like, man, if the everyday person can get a chance at competing in front of a larger audience, like that would motivate a lot of people to train harder, while still, respecting and bowing. For me, I think about Lyoto Machida in the UFC, like head kicking somebody and then immediately bowing to them right afterwards. Like you never see that nowadays. He is the definition of respect in martial arts, and respect should not be synonymous with like lack of skill or inability to fight. Right? It's not like you go to martial arts to learn respect and fitness, and you disregard combat and self-defense, and vice versa. You don't train in martial arts, the combative sense of martial arts, and that means you won't learn respect or how to preserve life and all that stuff. So um, again, I'm sounding like a broken record on this video, but I wish karate combat stayed its course from 3 or 4 years ago and became that venue of respect plus combat, rather than the monetization of combative sports and trying to create another spectacle, another way to build a bad perception of martial arts and ultimately karate to the general public. So, what do you think? Again, I missed a couple years where I checked out of the brand. Whenever it came back to the front of my, social media scrolling or on Reddit and stuff like that, it just looked completely different than what it was before. What are your thoughts?